ladies and gentlemen. I'm Eddie Marcus, and I'm back. Today I want to take a few moments to talk to you about the life of humans through the eyes of a bird. My wife bought my little girl for Christmas a pet, a bird. That bird came to us Christmas Day. Wings had been clipped, couldn't fly away. So we spent a lot of time with that bird, at least for 6 to 7 weeks. Bird still didn't acquire wings to fly. And we would walk through the house and that bird would follow us through the house just like a little puppy. You know how your puppy just follows you everywhere you go? We'd go in one room, the bird would come in another room, the same room. We'd go downstairs, the bird would come downstairs. We'd hold our hands out, the bird would get in our hand, get on our shoulder, walk on our hair, do anything. The bird was just fine. But I looked at that bird, and I could not imagine that bird truly being satisfied walking around spending time with us, while all the other birds are soaring through the air, and even those that are at the pet shop are still in numbers to be together, to be satisfied. And so my conscience wouldn't settle with me. I had to go and buy another bird, just so this bird could have company. And it just so happens that when I got this bird, I got a female bird. When I put them together, first of all, for the first 5 minutes, it was like trying to deal with territory. The old bird didn't really appreciate the threat of losing his territory. But after a few minutes, everything was calm. And I began to see kissing like I have never seen kissing before. I began to understand what it meant, birds and the bees. I tell you, these guys were fantastic. But let me tell you what happened. After this strange bird came in, this bird who would follow us everywhere began not to follow us at all. The new bird, had a little bit of sense of what freedom was like outside of the house and expressed it. And all of a sudden, this old bird began to act like the new bird. Whatever the new bird wanted to do, that's what that bird wanted to do. If the new bird would run from us, the old bird would run from us. If the new bird wanted to stay out on a porch someplace where they had more room and space, that's what the old bird wanted to do. All of the things. And what I began to see was an expression of liberty, an expression of a measure of freedom that the new bird brought to the situation that reacquainted the old bird with the same type of freedom. And that same old bird now wanted to taste the freedom. It reminded me of what it must have been like when Adam was out in the garden and all of a sudden Eve appeared. Now there's something else. What God has said, do or don't do, if Eve wanted to do otherwise, that's what Adam did, otherwise. And I see that as being an example of what God in his relationship with us say do. And then there's another spirit that says do otherwise. And we choose to do otherwise. Always willing to do what someone else says do because we think that it is better. We think the grass is always green on the other side. Well, for this bird that wanted to go out and claim his freedom to soar through the air, I'm for that. For human beings who do not want to be slaves to people or governments or anything, I'm for that. And for people who don't want to be slaves to any type of spirit, I'm for that. And the only way you can be free from a slave to any type of spirit is to have your own free will, to choose your spirit. And where your spirit leads you is in the spirit of freedom. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I say this to say to you, how many times have you spoken with someone and your conversation was about peace, prosperity, and joy, education and healthcare and careers of choice for everybody? When I say everybody, I mean all people. How many times have you had a conversation with someone else about something like that? I would gather to say never. I would gather to say never. You see, the only system that could authorize this, and it is not the American system. It is not Russia's system or China's system. It is the system of the Creator that made you and all things. That's the only system that would allow such a conduct. And because this is the only system, then all other systems here in America, our socialist, democratic, capitalist system, whether it's communist, socialist system, whether it's dictatorships, all other systems, I say this to you again, are anti-God systems. Anti-God systems. Now you pray for what those things that I've just mentioned. Every last one of you want freedom, want peace, want prosperity, want joy, want education, health care, careers of your choosing. Every human being on earth wants that. Every last one of you. You pray for it. You hope for it. Now let me ask you this. You have given your support to Republicans and Democrats. Have you ever received any of this? No. These guys don't even think about it. The Republican Party, Democratic Party, the platform doesn't even think about it. Their representatives don't think about it because they know that this current system will not permit it. This system is founded on denying that to at least a great number of people. All systems are built on denying that to a great number of people. That's why we have crime and violence. That's why we have wars, because the other people want it too. And they can't get it, so they steal, they lie, they cheat, they go do it, terrorize, they go to war. And others go to war to get it. So I ask you, do you think 4 more years of Barack Obama would cause that to happen to you? Peace, prosperity, joy, education, health care, careers of choice for every last one of you? Do you think a Republican would be able to do that, Romney or Santorum or somebody? Do you think they will bring this to you? You know they won't. So the question from me is, why in the world these guys, these parties that don't even care about that happening, why would you give them your support? I submit that the answer is because you think and hope that they will help you. And others don't matter. Well, you see, that others don't matter is the evidence that you don't honor God. It's the evidence that you don't know God. It is the evidence that you disrespect God if you did. And so all of the things that's happening in this country, in all countries around the world, are the fruit of the spirit of the people. But you got no excuse, because in this campaign that I bring forward, it introduces God to remind you that all things belong to God. And if you want this peace, if you want this prosperity, if you want this joy, if you want this education, if you want this health care, if you want these careers of choice, you got to honor God. What that means? That means you got to respect God through loving all people as though they were you. Golly, can't you see that? Of course you can, because you're blinded by deception. Yet, I'm